Hey, you random stranger. We are all aboard the pain train for episode 12 of Made in Abyss. It is the second last episode of season one. Actually, is there a season two? I haven't actually looked that up yet. I would assume there is because given there's only two episodes left, even though, episode 13 is twice as long, there still seem to be so many things that are unresolved, and we are only just getting into Nanachi's story. I don't even know if we're gonna get to meet Liza in this season. I hope we do, but yeah, I don't know. I guess we'll see. All right, so for the next few minutes, I just want to throw to you guys some interesting parallels and thoughts about the last episode. Remember, if you just want to skip straight to the reaction, there are always timestamps down below where you can do that. So, right off the bat, in the first few minutes of the last episode, the narrator comes in clutch, as they always do, with a few almost poetic lines about life and death in the abyss. Here's Antonio in the comments who wrote, "The impact of that beginning scene always sends shivers through my spine with the choice of music, the narration, and choice of words. It really does set the stage for the next few episodes and can draw some interesting parallels. It was certainly the best way to continue the introduction to Nanachi, using the flashback technique as a means of continuation from the ending point of the last episode." Yeah, I also was really drawn in by that opening sequence. Actually, I'm gonna read what the narrator said. Relating to what Antonio said about parallels, depending on how deeply you want to read into it, there are some pretty profound parallels you can draw to things that are happening both in the show as well as, some general truths about real life. So here's what the narrator said. "So that flowers may bloom with innumerable deaths providing their nourishment, there are countless tragedies buried at the bottom of this beautiful world. But unless you are one of those directly concerned, this is not something you can know. You should simply be captivated by the utterly dazzling beauty and push on, treading firmly on the ground below. For your tragedy too is sure to become sustenance and give birth to the blooming of new flowers." Man, that line. So, first off, the line about flowers blooming with innumerable deaths providing their nourishment, I think you could take that in a couple of ways. And the most obvious being is that it was hinting at the kind of suffering that Nanachi has been through, which I suspect goes beyond becoming a hollow and probably has everything to do with Bondrude, that scoundrel of a white whistle we have yet to meet, and whatever twisted experiments that he's carrying on down there in the fifth or the sixth layers, likely in pursuit of making it easier to exploit the treasures of the abyss, and maybe even experiments to do with overcoming the curse. Because I was thinking, how is it that Mitty survived if it is the custom for their fellow cave raiders to kill them as soon as they turn into a hollow? Did Nanachi save them, and I guess by killing all of the other cave raiders? And is that why their wall is just packed full of cave raider stuff and whistles? Did Nanachi help Mitty escape from somewhere, from Bondrude maybe? I don't know. There's something not quite clicking there. But yeah, back to the flowers blooming line. It also reminded me of the circle of life theme that has been pretty prominent. So if you remember when Riko was talking about eating the meat of the corpse weeper, and Reg asked, "Wait a sec, aren't we, by eating this monster, also indirectly eating the meat of, other cave raiders?" And Rika was like, "Yeah, yep, it's all part of how former dead cave raiders give sustenance to the cave raiders who follow on after them." Which is true. Certain tragedies do lead to good, but it's also kind of a slightly dangerous way of thinking, because it can result in some pretty twisted lines of logic where tragedy and suffering are looked upon as the good or as desirable. And weirdly, this sort of, circle of life attitude of Riko sometimes reminds me of Candide. So Candide by Voltaire, if you haven't read it, is a classic satirical piece that follows the journey of this dude called Candide, who, like Riko, is exploring new lands and starts off super optimistic about everything. Candide has a teacher called Pangloss who lives by the extreme version of like all things are for the best. So all suffering is for good, whether or not, you get shipwrecked or you catch syphilis, all of that is all for some better end. And funnily enough, when Voltaire was writing Candide, he was actually kind of taking potshots at certain religious views of the day that held that nothing God allowed to happen could ever be considered bad, including suffering. And given that the abyss has, in the show, been likened to a religion that people adhere to, and how everything, including the value of suffering, is determined by and seems to revolve around the abyss, I just thought it was really interesting that the narrator here was kind of expressing a slightly Panglossian view of the world as well. There's also that other line they say about suffering or tragedy that unless you are one of those who are directly concerned, it's not really something you can know. And I think there are direct parallels to that and what happens in real life. Like a random example that I thought of is like global supply chains. So unfortunately, due to their opaqueness and the warp speed of consumer demand, sometimes the cool stuff we buy in the developed world is so cheap and so readily available because they've been built or sewn or grown by people who are being exploited in other parts of the world. Not everyone suffers equally, and I guess you can be aware of the tragedies unfolding around the world and all the suffering going on, because you can learn anything these days on the internet, but still not be affected by it. So you can wake up and, the world continues to be beautiful and you just keep going on with your life, which is a kind of a depressing thought. Like, with Made in Abyss, you can read into however deeply you want to. Like, you can just keep your analysis within and encased by the show, or, there's a lot in the show that you can actually see in our own world. All right, on Nanachi, thank you, Remedy Bug and Anya Коломенская, who pointed out that the native Japanese term for what was translated into English as hollow is actually nare no hate, which means the mere shadow of one's former self or the ruin of what once was, which is an interesting translation choice or gap to me, because hollow is such a relatively non-descriptive term compared to that, and it doesn't really give you any clue that Nanachi had undergone some kind of significant transformation. Even me just reading the Japanese characters, because some of them are like Chinese as well, and just from those few characters I could draw out a lot more meaning than just the term hollow. Like literally it reads as the end result of something. So yeah, I just thought that was a little interesting translation note. Nanachi, I have so many questions still about Nanachi. I do appreciate that they seem to have been presented as a character with very ambiguous morals. So yes, they did intervene to help Reg and Riko, and at like great risk to themselves by exposing their existence. But also they did that after having watched them all the way up from the 4th layer, and after having not intervened while they fought Orbi. But at the same time, they are capable of pity. Like Reg was surprised that Nanachi would even help them, even though they don't know anything about Reg and Riko. And there's also Midi, who seems to have been taken in by and is being cared for by Nanachi. But who knows, right? Like, there could be some deeper, darker purpose behind all of that. Finally, just a couple of words on Riko. She is a certified badass by Nanachi, who observed that Riko chose a much more painful amputation option. Like, instead of cutting off the arm at the elbow joint, she chose to, get Reg to break the bone off a hand. And the reason being because she wanted to preserve more of her arm so that she could keep going on her journey down to the bottom of the abyss, which is insane. I always have such mixed feelings because, one, it is such a testament to Riko's persistence and her strength of character, but also, two, how much of it is, again, due to the fact that she was a corpse that was revived by the curse repelling vessel. And, part of her extreme desire to go down to the abyss is because, she received her life back from the abyss. So, yeah, I don't know. I'm pretty sure Riko will wake up this episode. She has, for all intents and purposes, become a shroom bear with those parasitic mushrooms stuck to her. And what another interesting parallel to draw there. So, is Riko to the abyss what the shroom bear is to the parasitic mushrooms, in that she was revived by the abyss, or by a relic at least belonging to the abyss, because everything that comes from the abyss belongs to it. But because of that connection, can she only survive if she gives her life back to the abyss? Okay, it is time to get into episode 12. If you guys are good to go, let's do this in 3, 2, 1, play. Oh, back and forth. I wasn't expecting that. It's the baby. Is it his birthday? Oh no. On top of all the other suffering, we get a baby that's gonna die on us. I miss these boys. Kiwi. That's a cool pharmacist outfit. So it's an actual thing. Wasn't Nat the one that was telling Reg about it as a joke? Oh, okay, so it's no joke. No joke, guys. Together with the eternal fortune flowers. So even in their funeral rites, the abyss is very intricately involved. Ah, it looks fine. I love that they have a floating like medic ship docked in North. Maybe he just had to be taken away from the abyss. Right, so this ocean is away from the mouth of the abyss. As a common refrain amongst people who, sort of live more on the edge. Well, yeah, so okay. My understanding is Kiyui got better because they took him onto the boat, which seems like it's quite a bit further away from the abyss than the orphanage is. I don't know if that's correct, but that's what it looked like. It's just with the whole, kids dying on their birthdays thing. It sounds suspiciously like the Abyss is somehow making collections on the lives of the people in Orth. For taking all of these relics from me, I'm going to take some of your babies. It's kind of like the sacrifices that, ancient peoples used to make to the gods to keep them happy and to keep them blessing their endeavors. Again, there's always such a strong religious angle. Ozen. Oh, that last shot of Bondrewd. I just don't have a good feeling about him. And Nanachi just like hugging Midi. It's really sad. The true nature of the curse. I think these hallucinations are just going to get stronger the further they go down. Rag is going to freak out. Is it trying to eat Riko or trying to give her some love? It's real hard to tell. Oh, he made her cry. Or it cry. What are they doing to that fish? Okay, this other scary thought occurred to me. Are all the monsters in the abyss, were they all at some point human? Like, are they the offspring of the hollows? Oh. Oh. Uh. Wait, so does Nanachi keep Midi around for the antidote? Like as a blood bag? Oh no, Reg. You don't know what you're getting into. I think Reg would prefer Rico's stew. But yeah, the whole Nanachi using Midi's blood, I don't know, that adds a slightly sinister element to whatever relationship they have. I don't know, man. I would not eat that either. s- oh. It's so like in Asian culture, you have to chug down whatever it is that is given to you and be like, "Oh, this is amazing. This is so good." I think they do, but it was the result of some awful experimentations. The robot who doesn't really know like human boundaries. Oh, I don't know about this. Some kind of blanket? Like a very see-through invisible blanket. Is this Nanachi just pulling Reg's leg? Oh. Oh, that's so cool. So the secret to preventing the curse is having some kind of invisibility cloak? Inverted thorns. Yep. So as soon as you try going up, you just get torn to shreds. The hideout is covered by the woven fog. What? Oh. So it can predict your every move and hence it's pretty much invincible. Humans will human. Okay, that was a lot of lore. Just like a lore dump. Oh, what does Nanachi know about Reg's helmet? The symbols on it, maybe? Ugh, that deformed leg that Midi has. That transition to a hollow must have been extraordinarily painful. Wait, that's Nanachi. Wait, what? That was Riko dreaming about Midi. I'm gonna have to rewatch like straight after this. Oh, what? Some kind of transistor, a radio transistor. I don't know, I feel like Nanachi is just pranking Reg. Hello, Orby. Oh my gosh, did Nanachi just send them straight into like um a death match? Like a cage match. Look up. Oh. I feel a bit bad for Orby. Oh no. Oh, overkill, man. I don't think that's what Nanachi meant to do, Rig. I hope Nanachi wasn't attached to Orby too much. Shattered spines. Okay, so it didn't die. How? I guess because if they knew that Nanachi existed, plus Reg as well, they'd have to report it up the chain, right? Yeah, I mean, I don't know. I feel like if they knew where Nanashi was, they would want to use them to somehow enhance their own cave raiders so that they could descend into the sixth layer without any consequences. Oh, here we go. Bondrude. Okay, so I'm right about Bondrude experimenting on. Wait, so Bondrude experiments on kids? It just sends them down to the sixth layer and forces them to come back up again to see if the curse affects them. Okay, no Liza this episode. Not yet. No Bondrude either, but he's this like awful looming character in the background that we definitely should meet next episode, right? Whatever awful things he's doing down there. Oh man, I've got to go back and sort of review all the stuff that we were told about the force field and how Nanachi overcomes the curse by using that weaved fog, I think it was, and basically how the force field is connected to everything, all the creatures in the abyss, and it can sort of detect their consciousness. And okay, hang on. Okay, we'll have a chat about this. The challenges. Okay. All right, guys, let's talk about lore. So I did one more quick rewatch of that part where Nanachi is explaining the true nature of the curse. And look, on first watch, I think I was initially confused because I was like, what, you just use the fog weave to cover yourself and you're going to be fine? But no, so the fog weave was simply an illustrative tool used by Nanachi to describe the force field, which is actually the source of the curse of the abyss. So it's everywhere, you can't see it or feel it, and when you move within it, it somehow senses your movements and even your thoughts and your consciousness. And please correct me if I'm wrong on any of these points. So because creatures of the abyss are obviously connected to this force field, the further you go down, the more you encounter creatures who can literally predict the future, including your actions against it, which is insanity. And that is why Orbi appeared to be able to read Reg's intentions, because it has this like sensor that's in sync with the force field. Okay, so far so good. Now the reason why you can descend the abyss no problems at all is because I guess it kind of swallows you up and it lets you get as deep as you want to, but then as soon as you want to return to the surface, it's like what Nanachi did to the fog weave, is that when you pierce through the force field the other way, it's like all of the symptoms of the curse just rush at you all at once. And I really liked the illustration of the one-way trap, because as soon as I saw that, I was like, okay, yeah, it clicked in my head, and you know that this is why you can go down but you can't go up. So I guess the main takeaway for this episode is the force field as the blood of the abyss is shaping up to be like this massive interconnected consciousness whose only driving force is to snap up as many preys or humans as it can. And in past episodes, I think we've seen how the abyss is almost its own character in that it has its own will and everything, but this episode expanded on that massively and confirmed that the abyss isn't just some environmental feature that exists passively for humans to explore, but it's really the other way around. So it's this huge in control consciousness that preys on the constant desire of humans to explore and, you know, to get rich, to live on the edge, whatever, and uses all of that against them to swallow them up. God, that is so sinister. But yeah, next time is going to be the very last episode of this season, and we are inching closer and closer to whatever terrible truth lies behind Midi and Nanachi and their whole story. And what a way to end an episode, like Nanachi's request to Reg to kill Midi. And I do kind of feel like Nanachi set that up really well. Like when Reg was like, oh, you've done so much for us, you know, you can ask of me anything and I'll do it for you. And I was like, oh no, those are like famous last words. Anyway, I hope you guys, well, I don't know if the word is enjoyed, but I hope you got something from this episode. And I will see you soon for what is setting up to be a pretty wild finale, I think. Until then, guys, take care.